Hey guys, Youngblood with you, and we're going to go ahead and summarize the verse from the Around the Verse on March 9th and the Happy Hour from March 10th. Now we find out, starting off with the Around the Verse in Austin, that shopping, trade, and economy are all big focuses for the Austin studio right now, and that's taking on several different forms, including designing shops that are going to be introduced in the 2.6.2 patch. These shops are going to end up interacting with the overall economic ecosystem and result in commodities that are needed in certain areas. And then there's going to be others where you can actually end up in going to get them. Basically, it's creating missions such as go and buy equipment here and return it to this location to sell it for a profit. There's going to be supply in some areas and demand in other areas for various different products. And what that's going to be is it's really an early version of trade, and it's going to build to include things like supply and demand in a more fluid economy later, but it's something to have in the meantime. Now, once we start seeing other careers being introduced, like mining, we're going to end up seeing different states of goods, transitioning hands going from mined resources, being sold to those who are going to end up refining those resources, then trading from the refinery to those people who actually manufacture the goods, and then will eventually turn into items that we can end up purchasing. And then you may even have transport of those items later on. Now, this opens up and impacts a lot of different careers, like mining and transport and escort and piracy and bounty hunting and a lot more. The initial pass of all of this will basically be simplistic categories of goods like gas, food, ore, and then it's going to end up expanding into more specific categories like hydrogen or boost fuel, vegetables or livestock, gold or silver. Those are the types of things that are going to be layered on later. Now, one of the shops that they're working on is a new station type called the Truck Stop, which we don't get much detail on, but it could be almost like a rest area. They are also working on the admin office, which is where you could go on a station to actually buy and sell goods to the station, especially considering that stations aren't going to have a full-blown TDD like you would have on the planet's surface. Now, the admin office is also going to be responsible for controlling storage rentals at that location, as well as offering jobs to those of you who want to just transport goods from location to location. Now, how that's done, if those are employer contracts or the admin office contracts, we'll end up needing to see. Other work being done in the Austin studio includes the lighting team currently polishing up some of the locations for Squadron 42, as well as working on the Constellation and Retaliator to fix some of the strobing that you're currently seeing in those ships. The updated Cutlass Black is in gray box now, and they're working to add in more advanced levels of detail within the materials that they have in place. It's starting to move forward and getting some familiar assets taken from other Drake ships like the Caterpillar. Now, speaking of the ship pipeline, the Prospector has finished up gray boxing, and they're finalizing the animations for the Drake Buccaneer. The networking and server teams are working on general improvements, as well as creating changes to the friends and party system to help out with the invitations, which is a real pain right now, so I'm glad to hear that's in development. The Spectrum team is working on just kind of current development, focusing right now on the forum pieces, but soon moving into app integration and development for, like iOS and for Android, and then moving into things like voice channels with different sub-channels focused on different levels of communication, like leader channels or squad channels or possibly ship-wide communication. The behind the scenes this week was focused on the creation of new weapons for the game, and while it's a good overview of what they've done to get to where they are now, they didn't really go into a lot of new information on things that are going to be coming soon. From the Happy Hour, they're not normally as informative as the ATV, and this ATV was a pretty good one, but we do get some confirmation that they're working on the HUDs to get them back up and running effectively, both the ship HUD and the visor HUD. As far as the atmosphere flying, they go on to say that gravity levels on different planets should have an impact on how well certain ships fly, but ultimately balance of that kind of flight model is going to be what ends up winning the day. The last point there that I wanted to bring up was that they're working on the hand-to-hand combat system, and they say that the plan is to add in counters, but how advanced those are going to be is still to be determined. The technology is essentially there. It's more about implementation and a design decision. So that's your weekly Summarize the Verse. Hopefully that helps you guys save some time and get the details you needed. If you have questions, please let me know. Otherwise, stay tuned for more coming your way soon. Have yourselves a wonderful day, and take care.